Oh, wait, okay, bro. Wait, hold on. We learning the game, homie. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Bro wished. Bro wishes he was dead. Oh, with the rock solid. Wait, I don't even know this game. Hold on. Hold on, homie. Hold on, homie. We're getting hyped up. We're getting too hyped up in the first mission. Oh, this game is sick already. This game is so sick. Black Myth: Wukong is a brand new action-adventure story game that was released on PC and PlayStation for $60. There are plans to bring this title to Xbox in the near future, but there hasn't been any sort of official release date announcements at the time of making this. This was also one of my most anticipated games of the year, so I've been extremely excited to check this out. This game's been announced for a few years now, so it's had some time to build up a lot of hype, and at the time of release, it had a lot of attention around it. The story for this game is inspired by a real 16th century novel titled Journey to the West, which is often described as one of the most popular literary works in Eastern Asia. This game is meant to act as a sequel to that story. In Black Myth: Wukong, we play as the fabled Monkey King, Sun Wukong, directly after the events of Journey to the West. At the end of that story, the celestial gods want us to return to our status of Buddhahood, but Wukong refuses and would rather live out his life in the mortal realm with his monkey people. This obviously displeases the celestial gods, so they try attacking him to force him to return. During this fight, Wukong is trapped in a stone and spreads relics of himself across the realm for anyone to claim them if they are strong enough. This is where the start of the main story picks up. At first, I didn't really understand what was going on. I thought we were actually going to be Sun Wukong in this game, but we're almost a reincarnation of him. The main story is set sometime after this big conflict, and now we're a new monkey on a journey to ascend to the spot he was once in. I don't want to get too deep into endings or elements of the story that might come off as spoilers, but I will say I thought the story was phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience they were selling. Everything about this game feels extremely cinematic, and you can tell that the story aspect of this game was something they spent a great deal of time on. They really wanted to respect the original material. The actual gameplay to this is extremely similar to any other Souls-like experience. I know this is the first time I brought that up, but yeah, this actually is a bit of a Souls-like, but I'd say it's a lot more story-oriented than most Souls-like games. In this game, you have a weapon with a light and heavy attack, a health and stamina bar, potions or gourds to help you heal, and bonfire-style checkpoints where you can craft, edit your kit, or replenish on equipment and health. Apart from your typical Souls-like experience though, I will say this game feels extremely easy, and that's mainly because of all the various tools and abilities you have at your disposal. For starters, you have various powers you can use, whether that's freezing somebody in place for free damage, or spawning in a whole army of shadow clones to fight alongside you. And all of these different powers all have skill trees where you can upgrade them to boost their overall effectiveness. Besides those, you also have a vessel that helps in a fight in a unique way, a might ability that pulls off a random power hit or combo move from a random mob, and a whole transformation that acts almost as a free health bar where you transform into a different enemy to fight with. It's actually kind of cool. You don't have all of these readily available at the start, but once you start to unlock the full kit this game has to offer, you become an unstoppable killing machine. I'm not a Souls-like expert, but I've played a lot of Souls-like games, and this is by far the most OP I've ever felt in a game. It felt like I was straight up steamrolling damn near any challenge they would throw my way. The combat for this game really feels like it's centered around finding a rhythm and just like flowing with the abilities. They really want you to use your entire kit, and they want you to come up with different ways to like chain attacks together to just come up with the most damage you can. Anytime I walk into a boss arena, it feels like I'm just thinking, okay, what's the most damage I can possibly just throw at them at one time, just to get it all out there. While we're talking about boss battles too, I will say this game has an insane number of them, okay? I think there's probably about like 90 so bosses in this game. Obviously, not all of those are required. Some of them are just optional fights that you can go find if you're bored or something. But with all these powers you have too, honestly, like most of these fights don't even really pose much of a challenge. They all just feel like normal mobs. And the actual normal mobs, oh my gosh, I mean, they stand literally no chance. I don't think I died to a single normal mob this entire game because they all just get completely mobbed. Moving on from the combat though, this game is played in a very linear experience. It's not a free open world like Elden Ring or something. The main story is broken up into 6 separate chapters, which are essentially 6 different levels that can branch off into other smaller areas or levels. And all of these levels are essentially guided experiences. You have to explore around the area to figure out what's going on, so you're not fully corralled into one direction, but it's still not open or up for interpretation. If you explore enough, you'll eventually find the right way to progress the main story. Also, in each chapter, there is an insane amount of content. All of these sections are action-packed and filled with stuff to do. They all felt like their own little mini campaign inside of the story. It took me about 38 hours to complete the whole game while also trying to find secret things, and I definitely didn't even find everything this game has to offer. I mean, there is a lot to do in here. Overall, the gameplay was incredibly fun. I felt like the absolute man. With all these tools to use at your disposal, and the way the upgrades are designed, it really feels like the game is wanting you to create combos and chain stuff together for ultimate damage supremacy. There were times where things felt a bit off or non-responsive when you're trying to go really fast, but for the most part, you're able to find a pretty satisfying combat rhythm with this game that I enjoyed a great deal. You're supposed to be Sun Wukong, and bro is no pushover. Okay, they didn't hold anything back. You fully become Monkey King, capable of taking down whole gods. Switching over to visuals, this game looks beautiful, that is for sure. I don't exactly remember what settings I was running the game on, but everything looked really good, and I never noticed anything like messed up or screen tearing. Each chapter has its own look and feel to it that distinguishes it from the other, and it helps keep the experience fresh, you know what I'm saying? One minute you're in like a desolate desert area, the next minute you're in a snowy winter forest. You know, it's cool, keeps the experience fun. The cutscenes for this game were also just straight up beautiful. There's not much else to say about it. I mean, this game was an entire cinematic experience, and they fully had me bought in. I could not wait to just set the controller down and listen to the story. Overall, I mean, the game looks great. Most bigger titles that come out nowadays look great. Like, I wasn't expecting it to look bad, and they didn't do that. Doesn't look bad. But something that they did that was really cool that I definitely have to mention for visuals is at the end of every major chapter, they have these really cool little mini movies that are all done in like a different art style, and they look amazing. One scene will be like all pencil hand drawn, the other one's like anime, then another one's claymation. I mean, they were all brilliant. Those were absolutely sick. And also, what a creative, inventive, like artistic detail. I don't think I've ever seen something like that done in a game. Like, they 100% did not need to do that at all. And they didn't need to go as far as to do them all in different art styles. I mean, if they wanted to do something like that, they could have all done it claymation, all pencil drawn, or all whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they went as far as to show all these different, I mean, essentially showing off artistic skills. I mean, if they did that all in-house, that's not easy to be able to show off all of those different art styles done that well. Each little scene had me absolutely captivated. This was definitely something they spent a great deal of time on, and it was such an appreciated touch. Moving on to audio, this is also something that feels like it got a great deal of work put into it, and that is also felt. For starters, all of the characters have voice actors who do a bang-up job at portraying their character. The main monkey character doesn't have an actor, which kinda sucks, but it doesn't really matter story-wise because everyone's just kinda carrying him through the story like usual. This game also has a lot of different scenes that convey a lot of different emotions, whether that's anger, sadness, empathy, whatever. And I think all these characters did a great job at giving off those emotions. You know what I'm saying? I never felt like anybody was just sitting there just like, yeah, so Sun Wukong, you're kind of like the Monkey King, and yeah, like you gotta go get these relics, dude, so cool. They were all trying, you know, they were doing a pretty good job. Whenever a cutscene popped up or something, like I just said in the visuals section, I mean, I was fully bought in. The controller was getting set on the table, and I wanted to see what was going on screen. Where's the popcorn? I mean, they did great. The music for this game is also done very well, which is definitely pretty mandatory for a Souls-like game. Whenever you get into a big crazy boss fight or just exploring around the level, the music always fits the tone and setting perfectly. Moving on to bugs and issues, this game actually had quite a few things for this category. For starters, I experienced a few different crashes at various points in the story, but they were pretty few and far between. It was probably 2 or 3 times total, and it was extremely spaced out. It never felt like one thing specifically was making it happen. I also noticed a few different times in the menu screens where items wouldn't have their actual description. It would just show the actual code for it, which was pretty interesting, but never interfered with the actual gameplay. As far as gameplay issues, there were a lot of times where it felt like I was pressing something, but nothing would happen. I would have to press an input like 2 or 3 times for it to work. Mainly thinking of the heal pots here, there were countless times during a boss fight where I'd press the button, but it feels like whatever animation I'm doing at the time cancels the pot. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just tripping. In conclusion, Your Honor, Black Myth Wukong is an exceptional action story game that set expectations for itself and knocked them completely out of the park. This game spent quite some time in development, but all of that work can be felt in every aspect of the game. The story is compelling, cinematic, and an interesting take on an already well-known, highly regarded story, Journey to the West. The combat is also a fresh take on the classic Soulslike, and I actually really enjoyed everything we had to use at our disposal. This was a really fun game to just lay down some fat damage, while also getting in tune with a flow or groove of the fights. The art design visually and audibly are exceptional as well. I especially enjoyed those little mini movie scenes they did at the end of each chapter. I mean, those were absolutely amazing to watch. And the work that they put into fully selling an experience here was fully worth it. I mean, I was captivated. And finally, I think for the most part, this game ran pretty good for its size, popularity, and how new it still is. I mean, I never really had any sort of insane game-breaking issues playing this, besides maybe the few crashes. If I had to wrap this all up into a rating today, 1 to 10, I think I'm going to hit it with a 9.5. This game is everything you could ever want from a Souls-like or action-adventure style single-player experience. Everything worked great, the gameplay was fun, and I felt like I 1000% got my money's worth from this game. I'm not disappointed in the slightest. Now, obviously, these types of games aren't for everyone, and it just be like that sometimes. But for those of you who are fans of this genre, I think you're really going to enjoy this title. And I'm not going to lie, I could really see this game making a name for itself at the end of the year whenever the Game Awards roll around. I can't exactly remember everything that's come out so far this year off the top of my head, but this will at least be a nomination, if not win some awards, that's for sure. I know I've already said it a lot by now, but this is not just a game. This was an entire experience they were selling here, and I was fully bought in from the moment the game loaded up. Alright, well, that's probably going to about do it here for the review, folks. I'm out of things to talk about. Sorry this is coming out so late, but thank you for sticking around and hearing what I had to say. Your boy really appreciates it. If you also played Black Myth Wukong, comment down below and let me know what you think of the game. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. I do game reviews like this all the time. Also, I made a boss tier list for this game, ranking most of the bosses, so if you're into that, I'll put a link in the description that you can go check out. I will say, I'm pretty proud of the sheer work I put into that video, but I did miss a lot of the bosses and I feel kind of bad about it. I probably could have put more work into it, but we'll just call it a learning experience. Next video will be better. But yeah, that's about it, folks. Thank you for sticking around and watching. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound.